Hello everyone and welcome to the vast Tech Talks. My name is Andreas Breckheimer and I welcome you to today's episode, how to use AI and process automation to improve your processes using SAP BTP. Let's go to what we are looking through today. First of all, we want to clarify a bit of terminology. What is artificial intelligence and what is process automation, in general speaking? Second, we want to know how to get started. So what is SAP offering on this side for you and how to consume it, how to learn more about it. Third of all, when does automation and AI make sense for you? What are the scenarios? What are the key identification points that you need here? And the fourth point, how do I proceed? We're going to show you one end-to-end example of, let's say, an innovation flow. Starting with terminology. What is artificial intelligence? In general, an artificial intelligence is a rule and logic-based algorithm set that would allow to perceive, synthesize and interfering information for a machine to analyze the data, create conclusions and learn from it. So the machine is learning based on the data you're feeding in there. It's recognizing pattern and so on. In the SAP world, the artificial intelligence is one of 5 major pillars of the solution. We have talked about that in the first episode of Last Tech Talks. Process automation. In general, a process automation is any automation on a process that is today not yet automated. How surprising, again. Automating a process means if you have a human being, an employee, doing something manually and you have another way of replacing this with an automated process. That is when you want to grab into the process, change it, to improve it, to reduce errors, to reduce costs and so on. Also here, SAP gives you a lot of solutions on hands to make sure you can transform your daily processes in an easy way. How to get started? Well, the question is, of course, what is there? What is there when you want to start? We have briefly discussed in the first episode about the BTP what the AI pillar is actually containing. I want to repeat that just for you here now, and then we're going a bit more into detail today on this. First of all, we are saying that SAP AI has 3 major things in the AI core or in the AI solution pillar. One is the out-of-box business AI services. Those are services that you would use, for instance, if you want to pre-categorize any kind of documents. Let's say you want to have a pre-categorization of service requests. You can do that with existing services already. Or you want to extract information from a document. You can do that. For instance, reading some serial number from a picture that someone's sending you via email, maybe a customer complaining about. Then you want to recognize the serial number, copy it out and process this information further. Then we do have the AI core that allows you to do your own stuff. So you have maybe an algorithm already, or you want to build an AI model to be trained and to deploy and monitor it. This would be the AI core. And on top of that, to have a good user experience and a good UI on it, you will give them the AI Launchpad. That will help you further to understand the monitoring of it and also to maintain the life cycle of your solution. Now, on the other hand, we do have SAP Process Automation, which is now being called SAP Business Process Automation. This is one big solution. You would see it here on this slide as bold. The others are not bold. Did I make a mistake here? No. What is happening is in the future, IRPA, the Intelligence Robotic Process Automation, as well as the SAP Workflow and Workflow Management, is being actually part of what is called SAP BPA, the Business Process Automation. And this is a solution that will give you various SDKs and APIs and different cockpits to manage the process automation in general. Now, let's talk on the SAP terminology side. For artificial intelligence, what are the 2 main let's say, reasons why you need to consider it. First of all, we do have data analysis and decision making. In today's world, the amount of data is simply too big for a human to handle it on its own. No human being can actually recognize pattern from all the tons of data that we have to deal with today. So artificial intelligence is needed here to take the data, summarize it, understand it, match it with different pattern or maybe prediction models, and then giving recommendations based on these models for your further decision making in the business. This is one point. Second point is intelligent applications. So based on the data you're getting, based on the predictions that you might want to do, you are training more and more to the point where you can actually automate different processes or different steps of your process on the way. So the more you're learning, the more your artificial intelligence is learning, the more automation you can build into the process, because you will get even more recommendations to proceed further. On the SAP Business Process Automation side, there are 3 different cases when it makes sense or when it actually has a conclusion for you doing so. Process optimization and automation is basically what is IRPA doing. IRPA, we will have a different episode on this specifically, but in short, it is a bot that is using software applications on a desktop running in the background. So when you have to Google something, let's say the distance from point A to B, you want your employee to do that. He's opening it, he's typing everything in manually just to get the distance and maybe the drive duration back and put it in the system. A bot can do that in the background while the employee is doing other stuff. So you're freeing up their time to do more, let's say, meaningful tasks. Then second, we have the workflow and workflow management. That is pretty much straightforward. Workflows are automated processes that you would run in the background. They will take care of task assignment, approvals, and notifications. We will talk a bit more in a later slide here. And we have integration and orchestration. In short, it is what SAP PO was doing before. The process orchestration part is now being one section of the SAP BPA. And in the summary, that means SAP AI is focusing to leverage artificial intelligence technologies to analyze the data, make predictions, and optimize the business processes, while process automation is focused on streamlining and automating business processes to improve the efficiency to it and to reduce the cost of it. Now, for the automation, here the difference between IRPA and workflow specifically. It is important to know what is the difference between IRPA and the workflow, because sometimes you might confuse things, sometimes it is not clear. Why would I not just use a bot to do that? Why wouldn't you use a workflow for it? So let's clarify on it. IRPA means you have a repetitive task someone needs to do manually on the computer where you have no API connection. You only have, for instance, a user interface, where, of course, it is very different and very difficult to do something on it. With the bots, you can record what clicks you do, where you enter something, and automate this process. A workflow, on the other hand, can call different APIs, it can distribute, it can have rule management, how to distribute further assignments or approvals. So it's something that is running in the background, but is not requiring any user interface exchange or something like that. Now, when does automation make sense? In general, we do have 4 different cases here isolated. First of all, we have improve of a product. So that, for instance, means you have a production line, then you want to identify what are the failures of what you're producing and categorize them, and then proceed them further. Second is improve the quality of your service. So that means when you have a good user experience, this will have your customer delighted. So you want to make sure to have, for instance, natural speak recognition on your chatbot, to have a natural exchange of communication there happening naturally for the user. So he is not feeling like he's talking to a bot, but the conversation goes naturally, is being held very quickly, and also what helps doesn't have to be artificial intelligence, it's just simple process automation. A requirement, a request that will run in the background through your processes and just pending for the different approvals rather than just sitting in an inbox not being answered for days. Then we do have improved HR and onboarding, because it can be very bureaucracy term that you need to do, task that you need to do. So this can take place when you're onboarding some new resources. You can automatically have a process that is in the background requesting for the equipment that needs to be there. You can see what kind of courses needs to be taken, what skills does the person have based on their CV. So you can identify all of that, making like a roadmap for the learning. And then we do have, last but not least, the analysis and planning part, which is kind of self-explaining. With the big data for today, you need to summarize them, you need to understand them, and that's exactly the case when we want to use it. Now, how do we proceed? We have here basically one small example, and we have three major steps here. First of all, it is important to identify the process you want to automate. So that means you are looking at your processes, the daily business processes that you have, which of these are taking much time or much cost or much resources, and can they be improved? Could there be anything being done not by a human being, but instead automatically happening without any interaction from outside? If you have that, then the question would be, of course, what technology you can use for that. So you need to know a bit about what is artificial intelligence capable of and what it is not capable of. What is doable with a process automation, like with a bot, and what is not. The last thing you want to do, of course, here, the most important thing basically, is to communicate when you're doing something like that. If you innovate a process and you change it completely, you need to communicate what you're doing to your customers, to your employees, so everyone is aware and there would be no frustration. Because when people are encountering a new process, even if it's better, sometimes people might be confused. So be clear on the communication, on the clear timeline of planning this step. Now we have like a circle of innovation, I would like to call it. We have an improving of a product. That's our initiative that we have here. So we have a production line for producing manufacturing parts of an air conditioner. Then we do have the quality assurance steps that we encounter to see as potential point of being improved. So we would see an employee currently is checking on the quality of the products. Well, the potential to optimize is there. Using computer vision and artificial intelligence, we could use a machine learning operation that will recognize which parts are being damaged, which parts are being completely fine, and then categorize them, maybe splitting the production line, discarding the failed ones and just proceeding with the correct ones. Then, of course, the question would be what technology we need to use here. So what are the algorithms we want to use? What and how many data you need to train these models? And how good is the failure rate if you are implementing these? Is it then an approval and an improvement or not? And the new process then, of course, needs to be communicated as spoken before. This is essential for you. And that already concludes our today's session. And I would like to thank you for staying with me that long. Have a nice day. Thank you for joining in to the VAS Tech Talks.
VAS. Complex made simple.